Hi everyone, it's Ailin here, back again for another video. I wanted to talk to you guys about this case that I've been working on. I found it to be very interesting, and so I thought I'd turn on the camera today to speak about it because I don't believe that I have spoken about this particular type of case on my channel yet, and I really want to discuss it because it's something that I see a lot of people suffering with, and a lot of clients come to me with this particular health issue, and that is that people get intense health problems after partaking in rounds of antibiotics. And now antibiotics, the thing you have to know about them is that antibiotics are sulfur compounds. They are medications that suppress the lymphatic system. That's their role. The role is to suppress the lymph system, which is why you see the sudden disappearance of your health issues and health symptoms temporarily, but in the long run, it has a negative effect on the body. So the sulfur in all antibiotics or sulfur medication, sulfur drugs, they are antagonistic to the body. They're very acidic. Sulfur itself is an acidic gas. Like I said before, it suppresses the lymph system. It's a fungal proliferator of the body, meaning that it's like candy to fungus, creates high fungal conditions in the body. And not only that, the most obvious one is that it destroys the healthy bacteria, the healthy microflora in the body, and especially in the lymph nodes of the body, which is part of the major immune system, which is the lymphatic system. So it's very very acidic, and as we see in this eye, this is the whole reason, why I wanted to pull up this case, is that in this eye we see a lot of sulfur that has latched itself onto the colon wall and onto the bowel wall. So you can see here, this eye is a blue eye, but you see the parts that are yellow, that is sulfur from the antibiotics that this person took a few years back in 2011, in fact, and they still have it stuck in their system till this day. Now, this person sent me two types of iris photos, which I really appreciate because with these set of eye photos, they're pretty great, pretty detailed. I'm able to see the depth of their weaknesses in their irises. So it kind of gives you like that 3D effect, allows me to see how deep the lacunas are and all the weaknesses are in the iris. But this is not really a proper representation of the color of the iris. This would be a better representation of the actual color of the iris. So we see this with just really the lighting. The lighting is really important. So with an angle like this, you see how the light is shining from the side in this iris photo, more to the side. That creates the 3D effect, the 3D look, which is great for seeing how deep genetic weaknesses are and inherent weaknesses are. But this photo is a little bit more front facing. The light is shining more towards the center of the eye, creating more of a flat image, but it also at the same time gives us a good indicator of what the true eye color is in this iris. So I really appreciate that this person took the time to send me very good photos, you know, showing me the depthness as well as the color. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would really prefer the 3D look because you can see the weaknesses a lot better and a lot more pronounced. You know, as you can see right here in this photo and in this photo, these two eyes look like they could be very different eyes, yet you can see the same weaknesses in the same regions. You see, like right here, the neck region, right here in the prostate region, right here in the prostate region, you see that? Now, only really a skilled iridologist can be able to tell the differences between this and, you know, not let it affect their iridology reading. Because although this image looks more flat and this image looks more pronounced, I would still be able to say whether a weakness is chronic or subacute or degenerative, just based on experience with lighting and seeing thousands upon thousands of eyes and reading them for years. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I know some people have trouble with like taking eye photos, and this is what we're really trying to go after. And this is what I really want to see when you guys send me your iris photos. But yeah, I really wanted to discuss this case. So this poor gentleman, he came to me saying that he suffered from an antibiotic injury. After the antibiotic traumatic injury. He experienced incredible health symptoms, went through a lot of suffering. At one point, he said that he was bleeding from his nostrils for several years. Incredible bleeding. He lost his appetite and lost 30 pounds in about a month's time, shed a lot of weight. He also went through electrocution, what felt like electrocution going through his body, not allowing him to stay fully asleep. He would wake up with what felt like electric shocks through his body. And not only that, he also experienced a lot of muscle tremors to the point to where even his tongue was spasming, and every part of his body was spasming. So this was a pretty serious case. And you know, upon looking at his eyes, I was able to piece all these puzzle pieces together to see what was going on. But his number one complaint was the pain that he feels in his colon, you know. So we really saw this immediately in this eye, is just the level of interstitial lymphatic constipation you see around this bowel wall, around the GI tract. It's highly acidic. The sulfur has latched itself onto the colon because the sulfur is just one of those things that loves the GI tract. It acts like glue and it sticks to the colon all the time. And over time, if the lymph system isn't moved with the right diet, with astringent fruits, with the right herbs that will help pull on the lymph system to help excrete all these wastes and all the acidity out, then what happens is that the colon starts to deteriorate and prolapse and leach calcium. You know, the body, for some of you guys that have been watching my videos a lot, I always mention, you know, the body has certain defense mechanisms that it uses to try and put the fire out, to try and put acidosis out. Meanwhile, you know, like because it sees it as like, okay, well, conditions won't change, you know, this is the body talking, conditions won't change, person will continue to eat unhealthy, you know, they're not going to eat alkaline foods. That's what the body guesses, you know, and in response, it has to act fast. So what it does is it leaches calcium from the connective tissue of the colon or from the structural system of the body, from the bones, from the muscles. It leaches all this calcium to put all this acidity out of the body, because calcium is an alkaline element. So this is what we saw in this body. The colon, the transverse colon, has prolapsed quite significantly there. In this eye, the descending colon is ballooning, affecting the heart region. That's another symptom that they had. This person had many heart arrhythmias, so toxicity from the colon is affecting the heart. At the same time, you see a lot of prolapsing. You see a lot of calcium leaching from the body. So on top of that, this person had constipation issues. Many times he just couldn't go. He can't go to the bathroom. And if he's lucky, he maybe goes once a day, but they're hardened stools, very small, very hard to pass. So you can kind of see this colon, right? The colon always tells us in the iris, this circular ring always tells us the shape of the colon and the size of the colon. So you see it's very small. This person doesn't have a lot of passageway to pass the stools through. So that's causing the constipation. On top of that, speaking to the calcium loss that this person is experiencing, that ties directly in with the muscle spasming and the muscle twitching that they're experiencing, because with sulfur, intaking sulfur, something that's so acidic, it just leaches the calcium right out of the body, you know, if left for too long. Now, in this eye, even though this iris is what I would call a pretty strong constitutional iris, the fibers are pretty nice and straight. There aren't too many crazy degenerative weaknesses going on, a few subacute to chronic weaknesses here and there. So this person is like a person that can definitely do amazing things when going on their detox journey, because strong constitutional types like this, you know, people with pretty good straight fibers like this, they tend to heal and detox a lot faster than those with weaker constitutions. Now, a weaker constitution person would look something like this: many dark black lesions and many dark black holes disrupting the iris fibers. So that is what you would see in a weak constitutional person. But this is a strong constitutional person. So, you know, despite everything that this person has been through, they really can consider themselves lucky because they could have been in a worse off position now. So yeah, so back to what I was saying before, you know, with that calcium loss, people constantly, day in and day out, they are constantly always losing calcium. That's what we all do. Calcium always goes into the blood, you know, the body is always leaching calcium. However, if someone has a weak parathyroid gland, they are unable to put back the calcium lost, because this parathyroid gland is responsible for calcium utilization. So all these weaknesses that I'm pointing out to you guys, they are weaknesses that I see within the body. Any dark areas denote deterioration of the tissue of the organ or gland in that region. So I'll be pointing out these weaknesses that I see in the iris and how it correlates with their symptoms. And depending on the level of weakness, that's where the protocol is built, the diet and herbal protocol, depending on how deep of a weakness we see in the iris, you know? So for instance, right here we see an adrenal gland weakness. It's pretty, you know, chronic. I would say it's in a chronic level of adrenal gland weakness. The adrenal glands, they just do so much for us. They're responsible for sugar metabolism. They're responsible for the energy that we feel in our bodies. They're directly connected to the autonomic nervous system, which controls automatic responses like heartbeats. It controls peristalsis of the colon. It lies right on top of the kidneys, which controls kidney filtration. It controls things like anti-inflammatory responses because it produces anti-inflammatory steroids. Therefore, if you're very acidic in your body and you hold on to a lot of water, you have edema, you hold water in your midsection, you're holding on to weight in your midsection. All these things are pointing to an adrenal gland weakness. So that's something else that this person expressed, was even though in the beginning of having taken that antibiotic, their appetite was suppressed, over time the weight came back and came back even more because they expressed that adrenal gland weakness in their eyes, you know, and they're having trouble with sugar metabolism. So whenever we see obesity issues, it's always an adrenal gland weakness, you know, due to sugar metabolism issues. Now, on top of that, people can have thyroid weakness, but what we saw in this case was more of a thyroid congestion issue, you know. So right here, it was showing a bit of a thyroid congestion issue, not so much a very big weakness. It's, if anything, it's a subacute weakness. So therefore, it turns out to be more of a congestive issue that's suppressing the thyroid gland. So for instance, in order to resolve obesity, in order to help this person lose the weight, they of course have to go on the correct diet, high in raw fruits and high on just astringent fruits in general. But then also at the same time, they have to address those two weaknesses, adrenal weakness and congestion of the throat area and the thyroid. Now, this person has had a sore throat. That was another symptom. They've had a sore throat ever since they were exposed to those antibiotics, you know, and they only took those antibiotics for about 2 weeks. You know, only 2 weeks it took, and then boom, they had all of those scary symptoms, right? So right here, and they've had this sore throat till this day, right here is the expression. So you see how this is a pretty dark, deep lacuna, a chronic to degenerative lacuna. They're definitely feeling that at least every few weeks it comes back with a vengeance, and every single day it's like, you know, like a level, like a mid-level chronic pain that they're feeling in that throat region. So there's so much to be said about this iris, guys. I'm going to try and cover as much as possible, but as you can see, it's a lot to cover. So yeah, so in order for this person to truly resolve all this acidity that they're experiencing in the body, because their number one complaint was, I feel pain in my intestines, you know, it's scary. They came to me thinking that they had intestinal cancer because the pain just won't go away. They will have to get rid of this sulfur that's stuck in their bowels, you know, it's stuck like glue. Sulfur is very persistent, very hard to get rid of, but the best way to get rid of it out of the body is going to have to be to go in there with a GI broom, But before that, you have to take the stomach and bowel formula according to your bowel frequency, you know. So for this person, they go like once a day. I recommended stomach and bowel number 3 because when they switch to a raw diet, since right now they're still eating meat, a meat diet, you know, meat creates a false sense of stimulation, and in the long run, even though it may temporarily give you some energy due to the steroids and hormones that the animals release when they're being slaughtered, it's not good in the long run. It shuts down the adrenal glands. So after they come off of the meat, some people, if they come off of meat cold turkey, they can feel fatigued. You know, they can feel very weak if they have an adrenal gland weakness on top of that. So this person has high blood pressure now, for instance, so they have like 135 over 85, you know, that's pretty high blood pressure, you know. Once they start to detox and eliminate the animal products, that blood pressure is going to go down. You know, the bottom number is 85, and where it should be at is 60 to show that they have a kidney health, good kidney health, right? So then as you start detoxing and consuming more and more fruits, as that number goes down, 20 points off of the bottom number is going to be taken off of the top number. So if the top number right now is 135, 20 points taken off of that will be 105. That is low blood pressure, and they will start to feel fatigued, right? So that's where you want to go. You want to start to get rid of those animal products to give the kidneys a break, and then you'll be able to flush your system out. You'll be able to pull all this congestion, pull all this mucoid plaque out of the body very simply, and you'll be able to go more often, you know. The stomach and bowel formula, like I said before, I was gonna give him number 3 because even though number 3 is meant for people that go maybe you know, like once every other day, so people that are more constipated than he is showing, in fact, once that blood pressure goes down, there will come a certain point where his bowel movements may slow down, you know. So it's experiences like this I've seen from client to client every single time that really requires you know, if you are someone that has a chronic health conditions, you know, I've seen it all, and I have a lot of experience to help guide you on your detox journey. So yeah, so that's just talking about the bowels, you know. At the same time, this person is experiencing acid reflux that just won't go away. Acid reflux caused by sulfur, again, acidic gas, and they'll continue to have acid reflux until they're able to pull out this sulfur. Something that's really good for sulfur is drinking fresh raw apple juice with lemon or lime juice squeezed into it. That's a fantastic sulfur puller, and it's also great for cleaning out the liver and the gallbladder. He also had those issues. He had trouble digesting fats, breaking down fats. He had bloating issues. That's what the liver gallbladder helps us with, is breaking down the fats, you know. But at the same time, this person is actively, even though they still eat animal products, they are actively not eating dairy. You know, that is the one thing, the one animal product they will not have and they have not touched for some time, is because every time they do, they experience extreme bloating in their body, gas, as well as, get this, as well as edema in their hands. So they just won't touch the dairy, right? So yeah, that's a liver gallbladder weakness. So let's move on to up to the brain region, okay? Now, this is not something I've really discussed in any videos yet because it's a lot to talk about, guys, but you know how I am. You know, I keep on going on and on because I want to teach all of you as much as I possibly can so that you guys can learn to heal yourselves, you know, so you can take health back into your own hands, because that's what we really need to do nowadays. You know, so many people that come to me, they've already spent thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of dollars going the medical route, going to all these different naturopaths, and you know, they've either been told that they're crazy, that their health issues are all in their head, or the doctors or specialists just don't know what's going on, so they label it as an autoimmune problem. Or at the same time, they even if they're like, okay, you know, you do have health issues, what do they recommend? They recommend a diet rich in proteins, you know, and then they recommend isolated supplements. Then people spend thousands upon thousands of dollars and they don't even see any results in complete healing of their health issues, you know. It's sad, and oftentimes they even get worse from these protein diets, because like we see right here, You know, you don't want to eat protein. If you have dark lesions emanating from your pupil like this person does, which is a sign of like gastroparesis to come. If this person doesn't do anything, it'll get worse. Gastroparesis is the inability to digest anything. So this person has already expressed that. They've said that when they eat food, a lot of the times they just feel it sitting in their stomach. Whenever they eat meat, they experience that fullness in their stomach. And now, so when I asked them like, okay, so are you willing to let go of the meat, or what is it that makes you crave meat? They said, well, it's something that sounds satisfying. It's something that makes me feel kind of full, right? Now, well, upon hearing that, I think, okay, if someone is craving meat, it's either they have parasites within them, because parasites love meat products, you know. They can have big parasites, microbial parasites, fungal parasites. You know, fungus makes us crave carbohydrates, sweets, but and then the parasites, they make us crave the meats. You know, that's how they survive in our body, is through these acidic foods. But on top of that, that fullness feeling, that satisfying feeling that they're talking about is something because they feel like they're not getting enough. So something that they expressed to me is, in the past, this person has done the raw food diet, but they said it was difficult initially. They have to always get over this hump. Like the first few days they feel hungry, you know. This happens to a lot of people that have interstitial lymphatic constipation or malabsorption issues, meaning that if you have, and you can kind of see this right here, if you can see that brown ring around the pupil, right here, that brown ring around the pupil, that is a sign of malabsorption, as is this thick lymphatic congestion rope around the GI tract. That means that you have mucus blocking the intestines from absorbing nutrients, and you have a pancreas weakness right here, meaning you can't fully break down your carbohydrates. So these people, they have trouble. They usually have nutritional deficiencies. They usually express feeling hungry all the time. But here's the beauty of it. When you start to detox and utilize the herbal formulas and take herbs that will start to clean out all this mucus from your bowels, and start moving the lymph system and getting rid of the sulfur and acidosis in the GI tract on an interstitial level, then you won't feel as hungry anymore, because you'll actually start to utilize and absorb all the nutrition from your foods. You know, so I always say, if you're going to start a raw diet, you have to be aware that you want to eat more in the beginning. Eat more to feel satisfied of the raw foods. Eat as much as you want until you feel satisfied. And then you'll notice after a few weeks, as you start to clean out your body, you won't feel as hungry anymore, and you'll feel more satisfied on less food. That's just the magic of detox, is as you move the lymph system and as you clean the mucus, you're able to absorb more of the nutrients from your foods finally, you know, and you're eating the most nutrient dense food on the planet to boot. So that's just a wonderful thing about detoxification. So, okay guys, I went on a little rant there, but back to the eyes. So I'm going to talk about some weaknesses I saw in the brain, okay? So for this person, and when I speak to you guys over the phone, I pick up on little things, you know. I always pick up on people's speech, you know, if they have trouble collecting their thoughts, and it's okay, you know. I've been there too, guys. I in my past, I have been to the point to where I felt so brain fogged. I could not even read like one page in a book, you know. It was really bad back when I was chronically ill, you know, many years ago. I think, oh man, how long has it been? Like maybe 6 years back, I was chronically ill and bedridden, you know, didn't have enough energy to read. At some points in my life, I was suffering with like stammering and stuttering, you know. I had depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all that stuff, you name it. So when you guys come to me and speak to me, you never ever need to feel ashamed, you know. I felt it all. I know exactly how you feel, you know, and there's no judgment on my part, on my end, you know. We're all going through, you know, this journey called life, and, you know, I respect all of you and where you are on your journey, and I'm just here to help pick you up, you know, to help you do just a bit better, you know. So if you're on one level right now, like this gentleman was, you know, eating fruits, yes, but still eating meat during the evenings, you know, I just always encourage you guys, okay, what can you do better? How can we take you to the next step, the next level? And I help support you in that and give you tips and give you guidance, you know, because yeah, I just come from a place of no judgment, and I just want to see you guys heal up all your health issues. So when you see, and this is like the really cool part about iridology, is you can see different weaknesses in the brain region and in the head region, and you can sort of kind of get a bit of a sense of what someone is struggling with mentally and emotionally, or what they've been through in their life and how that has impacted their health on a physical level. So that's what's really cool about iridology. So this region is the head region, the brain region. It lies right on top of the transverse colon. And, you know, people call this brain flares right here. If you see many, like if you see right here, if you see like many dark lesions going up into the head area, they're usually called radii solaris, meaning toxicity from the colon is traveling up into the head area, affecting the head. So I'm pretty sure many of you guys watching this video have experienced this on some level or another. So have you ever felt like, you know, if you're constipated, if you're backed up for a few days, you start to feel cranky, you start to feel brain fog, or you start to feel headaches or anything like that? It's because the toxicity in the colon is traveling up into the head region, you know, affecting you on a mental and emotional level, right? So this is what we have been seeing with this person, is many of their health issues are coming from just toxicity in the bowels, affecting different parts of their body, you know. So like we said, like in the heart area, the heart region, this ballooning is affecting and putting pressure on the heart, lymphatic pressure on the heart, causing heart arrhythmias, causing chest pains, you know. That's not good. You want to eliminate all this acidosis, you know, and strengthen the tissue in that region. We also see that expressed in the brain, you know. So for instance, this region right here in the brain, this first region is called the frontal lobe, which is responsible for the mental ability of the person. Right next to it is the speech center. You see those dark areas right here? It's around like subacute to chronic weakness. So then when you start seeing that, the person will start stuttering or stammering, or they have a hard time collecting their thoughts and putting them into words, you know. These people tend to be very self-conscious, so self-conscious to the point to where they become paralyzed and don't want to speak, or, you know, they have trouble speaking because they're overthinking it. They're thinking too much, you know. This weakness right here, it tends to also be like people have a hard time, you know, thinking. They might be like dull thinkers, slow thinkers, but at the same time, they are hypersensitive. They're hyper aware of their actions, you know. So it's almost as if like they're very aware of like, what will people think of me, you know. So always being in that kind of like fight or flight area is very detrimental, and obviously reflects, you know, the speech patterns in the person. So that's right there. Frontal lobe, mental ability, is speech region. Those areas are down. We have to fix that. A bit of a pituitary gland weakness we see right here. You see that little lesion? So pituitary gland is affecting all the other glands in the body, bringing them down in function. So we see that with the thyroid, more so than a thyroid weakness per se, you know, more so than a thyroid weakness. There's a bit of a parathyroid weakness, but not so much of a thyroid weakness. We see the pituitary gland, the master gland of the body, is actually affecting the thyroid gland in its function. So this person, when they took a blood test, you know, they were told, okay, you have like the beginning of Hashimoto's, not full-fledged Hashimoto's, but the beginning. It's like, okay, you know, that's mostly congestion, right? Or that's a pituitary gland weakness that we saw, right? They also experience cold hands and feet. You know, that's a classic sign of, you know, weakness of the thyroid / pituitary, you know, that connection right there. So that's what we saw. Okay, and right here in this region, we have the equilibrium dizziness. the cerebellum region, and the reality OBS ADD region. So let's discuss the first one, the equilibrium dizziness. That's the cerebellum, right? When people have stiffness in their neck, when they have a problem in that region, a problem in their back of the head, they can experience equilibrium dizziness issues, or they can experience seizures or tremors. So we saw that being expressed in this person. They were saying how they were experiencing muscle tremors, dizziness, muscle twitching. All that stuff is related to the cerebellum and a weakness seen right here. Now the next lesion is the reality OBS ADD region. It's kind of just how it sounds, you know, these people, this lesion, if you have a lesion right there, you tend to have experienced certain traumas in your life that has affected you on an emotional level, you know, and given you low-level emotions. Low-level emotions tends to affect the thyroid gland. So if any of you out there have experienced like, you know, like that feeling of having a frog in your throat, of not being able to fully express yourself, that's where that comes from. Those negative suppressed emotions affect the thyroid gland and the throat region in itself. So this person has definitely felt that, you know, physically in their body. But also people that tend to have a lesion right here, they tend to be you know, if they get into a hobby, they become very obsessed over it, you know, and it's kind of like, it's a good thing, but it's a bad thing at the same time, because it's like, okay, they tend to be obsessive, they tend to go hard, you know, they tend to, you know, work hard and give that one thing their all, to the point of burnout, you know what I mean? At the same time, people with this, they can also tend to have, like, you know, if they were diagnosed, some people are not diagnosed. I'm not saying it's important to get this diagnosis, but you know, if you ever feel like kind of like that, like obsessive or addicted, or you have addictive personalities, then you can have like ADD, ADHD, or a hypersensitivity of your surroundings. People can have a lesion right here. Now, this lesion, if you have a weakness or lesion right here in the reality OBS ADD, also known as the inherent mental region, it means that you have a hypothalamus weakness, right? So the hypothalamus is kind of like the head honcho that's next to the pituitary gland. It controls the pituitary gland, but the pituitary gland controls everyone else in the body. So this person would need to address their hypothalamus with a hypothalamus formula. So this is the benefit of seeing what's going on in the iris, because just symptoms alone wouldn't give you this information, guys. That's why I do both, the irises and the symptoms, you know. That's why it's not just one or the other. You need both to be able to assess someone's case completely and to be able to give them an accurate diet and herbal protocol so they can completely heal their body of all health issues, right? So let's see, moving on. Right here we see medulla weakness and a mastoid weakness. So the medulla mastoid, that region is responsible for you know, things like breathing, things like heart rate, things like blinking, sneezing, coughing, all these automatic responses that we don't really think about. That's what the medulla is responsible for. The medulla / brainstem, you know. So yeah, this person definitely experienced those weaknesses and those symptoms, you know. When they lost their appetite initially after going through that round of antibiotics, that's what they were experiencing. So yeah, so the same thing with the heart rate, you know, they're experiencing heart arrhythmias. At the same time, they also express that they have shortness of breath. They have a hard time taking a deep breath. So the nerves that go through this region and go through the brainstem, you know, it's all connected, guys, because the adrenal glands also control that, also control the movement of the lungs, the expansion of the lungs. That nervous system controls that area of the body. So it's something that you definitely want to address. So with as many lesions that we see going through the head region right here, I would definitely recommend this person to be on upper circulation formula and brain and nerve formula. That way, when they start eating the hydrating fruits, when they start taking the lymphatic herbs, then the upper circulation formula will be able to bring it up into the head region, promote circulation, and the brain and nerve formula will start calming down the nervous system. That's what this person needs. Their nervous system is too hyper hypersensitive right now, too acidic. You know, a strong nervous system is calm and cool and collected. A weakened nervous system is the opposite, okay? You experience tremors, muscle twitching, all that stuff. So we want to calm all that stuff down. Okay, so let's turn right here. Oh, actually right here. So this is another interesting thing. You see, this is why I like to discuss health history as well with you guys, because this person told me that they actually went through something pretty traumatic physically. They went to a chiropractor that messed up their back, you know, that messed up their upper back, their neck, their cervical region, completely messed up. And we see that right here, you know. So this lacuna is right over the pancreas region / neck region, you know, a bit of shoulder here too. But isn't it amazing? Because probably right when that event occurred, right when they were messed up by that chiropractor, this lacuna was probably completely dark. You know, this person had to go through a lot of different therapy sessions, you know, to be able to start to heal this lesion. And lo and behold, we see a healing line going over the lacuna, which is so fascinating. It's so amazing. But let this be a warning to people out there watching this video that if you're going to get chiropractic adjustments, make sure that the person is very well trained, is reliable, has good reviews, you know, all those things. Whenever you go to a chiropractor, you always run the risk of something going wrong, you know. Any manipulation of the spine is risky business, you know, because that's the central nervous system. That nervous system is the hard drive. Messing with that is always risky, you know? So if you need chiropractic adjustments, make sure that you're dealing with the best of the best, you know? Because these injuries are very serious, quite serious, you know? Okay, so moving along here, I'm gonna pull up the right eye. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna discuss what we see in the right eye over here, starting with the brain. We see right here oh yes, this is the neck region. So the neck region was on this side as well as on this side. Now the right side of the neck hasn't really healed as nicely as the left side of the neck, but with the upper circulation formulas, with you know, detoxing the body in general, we'll be able to heal that lesion up. And that's the beauty about iridology, guys, is as you go on your detox journeys, within a few weeks to a few months, you know, generally in about like 2 to 3 months, you tend to see a lot of changes in the iris. You start to see lacunas healing up, lesions healing up as you clear the body of acidosis, and as you alkalize, and the tissue, this tissue that's breaking down, is able to heal and lighten up, and it lightens in the eyes, and the health that you achieve in your body is reflected in the eyes. And how beautiful is that? You know, we actually have a way of measuring progress. We also have a way of seeing what's going on in the eyes without it being invasive, you know? So you don't really need to go through things like MRIs, CAT scans, you know, ultrasounds, those surgeries, you know, instruments being put inside of you to be able to see what's going on, what's wrong within the body. We can see it in the eyes. And I think that's just something that's so beautiful. Okay, so moving on right here, guys, we see more of the brainstem and medulla that we discussed before. We also see more equilibrium dizziness and more reality OBS, ADD, inherent mental region that's going down. A little bit of a pituitary gland weakness right here. And really that's it when it comes to this eye. The left eye seems to be in a little worse shape than the right eye when it comes to weaknesses in the brain. But on top of this sinus region right here is extremely congested, and sulfur to go with it. So it's very interesting how this person said they have trouble eliminating mucus from their body, whether that's coughing. Even though they cough a lot, they cough and cough and cough all day, they're still not expelling mucus when they cough, you know? So that sulfur is really sticking it down, you know, preventing the mucus from coming forth. But we're gonna do our best to try and, you know, detach this sulfur from the tissues, and then everything will start to break loose, you know? So you need powerful lymphatic formulas to be able to drain the body of this sulfur. You need powerful lymph formulas, especially for the bowels. So lymphatic capsules, that's the beauty of lymphatic capsules and the herbs in the lymphatic capsules, is it addresses the GI tract, you know? So we're gonna be moving on here. Let's see what else I see. We'll discuss what I see on the bottom right here. So right here we have the liver gallbladder as discussed before. Right here we have a bit of a right testicle weakness. Now I don't really like this. I don't like this when I see closed lacunas right here to have a lot of white congestion, white lymph surrounding that weakness, closing it off. Because if you see a weakness that's closed off like this, whereas this weakness is not as closed off, or you know, like, let me see what else. Like these weaknesses are pretty open, you know, but these are closed off. It means blood and nerve flow and lymph flow is very suppressed in that tissue. Over time, it starts to decay it, you know. This is the right testy, by the way. We don't ever want to see that, because that can always result in tissue deterioration. And what comes with dead cells, what comes with dead cells is mutated cells. What comes with mutated cells comes cancer, you know. So you want to start draining. You have to open up the kidneys to filter. No ifs, ands, or buts. So this right eye right here, a bit of a kidney weakness going on, a bit of an adrenal weakness, a bit of a pituitary weakness, and a bit of a hypothalamus weakness, all affecting the filtration of the kidneys. So you have to get these kidneys to filter by addressing those weaknesses in order to clear out all this congestion so that this tissue can heal, because that right there is just something bad waiting to happen in the future, you know. So, okay, so we discussed that. This is the pelvis region right here. So this person expressed symptoms of male reproductive issues, you know, like low sex drive, you know, things like that. It's very sad because you know, when you lose that drive, sexual drive, it usually also comes with losing your drive for life, your zest for life. You no longer really get excited about anything anymore, about your old hobbies even, or anything like that. So it's kind of like experiencing some level of depression at the same time. So that's not good. You know, we want to clear all this out and strengthen that part of the body, because that part of the body is there for a reason, you know. That's what makes life fun. So we have to heal that up right there. Adrenal weakness, like we discussed before, this person has a bit of an appendix weakness going on right here. That's tied to the colon, so cleaning out the colon, the appendix will start to heal. And this right here is the prostate. Now that is, you know, it's a chronic prostate. We want to heal that up as well by getting the kidneys to filter. Now, even though this person has male reproductive system issues, this is where a blood test would come in handy. A PSA blood test, a PSA blood count, because if the PSA is too high, then it's not good to give someone a male reproductive formula, because male reproductive formula has hot herbs, very hot herbs, that are too stimulating for someone that has a high level of PSAs, right? So you would have to check that out. And if it's all good and all clear, then you can take the male reproductive system formula, right? At the same time, this is the parathyroid gland. We already discussed that. This person is just losing calcium all over their body, all over their connective tissue, losing their muscles, muscle twitching, capillaries, you know, thinning of the capillaries, all that stuff is tied to that. Depression. This person has depression, cramping of muscles, tingling of muscles, all those things. But they also told me during our call, here's the interesting thing is, they said that they are experiencing the shedding, either it was the shedding or they just don't grow hair on their legs, you know, on the back of the legs. And they asked why. And I said, well, in the presence of acidosis, hair follicles can come off. You know, I've seen that many times. Depending on the location, if you are very acidic in a certain location, your hair follicles can come off. Or if you guys have ever encountered someone that just doesn't grow hair on their arms or just doesn't grow hair on their legs, they're very acidic in their legs. These people also tend to experience pain in their legs that just relentlessly won't go away. So that's what we were seeing in this person, you know. They have that leg tingling pain and lymph congestion and pressure on the lower regions of the body can create that disruption of the nerves. So acidosis can deteriorate the nerve endings, causing nerve pain, causing muscle twitching, causing nerve tingling, all that stuff. But also, see this transverse colon, it's prolapsing right on top of the leg region, the lower parts of the body. So if you can think about the colon sagging and putting pressure on the prostate and on the legs, actually disrupting circulation to the lower regions of the body, you can already tell why this person has a leg weakness, has lymphatic congestion backing up in the leg region, is experiencing tingling, is experiencing cold hands, cold feet, all that stuff is because the circulation is poor due to this lymph pressure. So lymph pressure always affects those flows, guys. It affects the blood flow and the nerve flow, and that's what we see in this iris. Okay, so I don't know how long this video turned out to be, but I'll tell you this much, that I have enjoyed it very much, and I'm going to be coming out with more iridology videos for you guys soon. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered everything. I just love iridology. I love talking to you guys about iridology. I love using iridology to help all of you heal with the clients that are currently working with me. This is like truly amazing. I'm so happy for everyone that has found this way of healing, because this is the ultimate way of healing. There's nothing else out there that's more powerful than true detoxification or regeneration with the raw foods, with the right fruit diet, and with fasting, and with the herbs, the right herbal formulas, the glandulars, all those things address all the root causes of all the symptoms in your body. There's no guesswork, everything is right here, seen in the eyes and in your symptoms. That's the beauty of it, and it's something that everyone can do, so I'm really, really happy that all of you are joining with me on this detoxification journey to gain your health back, and I can't think of a better way to just serve everyone, to serve all of you, to serve the world, because I really don't like to see people suffering. Me having suffered for so many years, I know firsthand how horrible it is, and I just want you to know that you're not alone out there. If you're in pain right now, if you're suffering right now, you're not alone. Watch these videos, educate yourself, start eating raw foods. You'll start to cleanse your body out. You'll start to feel better, and even though you may go through some detox symptoms, they're only temporary. And the fact that you are feeling anything in your body while you're detoxing means that your body is fighting. Your body wants to heal. It's taking that chance that you're giving it in order to heal itself, and that's such a beautiful process. So yeah, guys, if any of you want to work with me one-on-one, if any of this information has resonated with you, you can go to www.spiritropicalhealing.com. If you go to the services tab, you'll find the Master Your Health package. And in that package, I do the iridology analysis, the iris analysis. We discuss the findings with you in a phone call, one-on-one phone call. I tell you everything, all the root causes, what's going on in your body, what you can do to fix it. It also comes with a written iridology report as well. So not only do you get the call, you also get a hard copy iris analysis, and as well as the diet and herbal protocol based on the puzzle pieces that I have put together, looking at your eyes and your health history and health assessment. Yeah, and I can't wait to work with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a like, share it with everyone that you know that may be interested in this sort of healing, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.